And this morning, forward LaMarcus Aldridge announced his retirement on Twitter just moments ago. Aldridge said that the last game he played 5 days ago, he had an irregular heartbeat, and it was, quote, one of the scariest things I've experienced. So he's putting health and family first and hanging it up after a great 15-year career. Yahoo Sports senior NBA insider Chris Haynes is now joining us. Chris, breaking news here. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, this is definitely an unexpected occurrence. When I first covered the NBA, I was covering the Portland Trail Blazers, and LaMarcus Aldridge was the first star I had the privilege of covering. And I would say this has been something he's dealt with his whole career. You know, his rookie year, he was diagnosed with the irregular heartbeat syndrome, which his heart kept beating fast. And you know, he was out indefinitely for a period of time when he was with the Spurs due to the same thing. And so this makes it seem like that he's calling it a career. You know, in his words, in his statement he put out, saying it's one of the most scariest things he's experienced. That let me know that this was probably even worse than the other ones he's went through previous. And I owe a lot to him, man. You know, just, you know, being a guy who covered that team, covered the Portland Trail Blazers. You know, you only get as big as the players that you're covering. And, you know, he rose to stardom after the Brandon Roy era and the Greg Oden era, and to become the player he was. And so it's sad and unfortunate it has to end like this. But I reached out to him this morning. We had a little chat, and I hope he's at peace. That's what I told him. I hope he's at peace with the decision, because he was playing good. He was playing well for the Brooklyn Nets. And so I know this had to be a very disappointing decision.
Yeah, I think it's pronounced Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, and it's reported that he's gone on multiple procedures since 2006. And at this juncture, Skip, for him to have to go through, he's gone through the procedures to have a career that's lasted 15 years. He said, you know what, I ain't gonna tempt fate anymore. No. Yeah, you know, it'd be nice. I'm in a very good situation. Because, Skip, you know, the ultimate goal, if you play a team sport, is to win the championship. And finally, he's in position to win the championship. Yep. But you say, you know what? There's some things worth more than a trophy. That's life. Because, you know, Skip, I read a quote from Kobe. Kobe said, the biggest mistake that we make is that we think we have time. LaMarcus Aldridge said, you know what? I'm going to take some time. I'm going to give it to my family. I'm going to make sure my health is okay. Yep. And that's what he should do. That's what he should do. Kudos. Great career. 7-time All-Star, 2-time second-team All-NBA, 19 points, 8 rebounds for a career, Skip. He's had an unbelievable career. And from 2006 to here it is, Skip. Think about that now. That's 15 years that he's had procedures and had a nice career, had a great career.
And he has been at risk since 2006.
At risk.
Yes.
And he said this was the scariest. So lets me know he's had this before, Skip, but nothing has bothered him quite like this. And I think a lot of times, Skip, you see what happened over the landscape. You see the mortality. It makes you think about your own mortality. So congratulations on a great career, LaMarcus. Get well and enjoy your time, bro.
Yep. I echo that. And back to Chris. The time I've spent around LaMarcus, not like you did, but Chris, a real gentleman, a high character, a really good human being. That's what I took away from my little time around LaMarcus. Would you concur?
Yeah, I mean, LaMarcus was a guy who was quiet. He didn't like the limelight. You know, to be a star player, he was somebody who shied away from doing all the promotions that a team would ask of a star player. And at times as a reporter, it was hard to cover somebody like that because he didn't like talking. He didn't like speaking. But with that, he let his game do the talking. And, you know, I think looking back at LaMarcus, he was so when you talk about somebody as a made man in this game, he had talent. Obviously, he was a high pick, but he always felt like he was underappreciated in Portland. And what I mean by that, what I'm bringing that up is that, you know, there was Brandon Roy there. Yep. There was Greg Oden there. And they kind of like gave them the team. And injuries occurred to why LaMarcus was given his shot. And he always felt like his shot should have been sooner. And he proved that, he was just as good as advertised. I think he lived up to his billing. I think he surprised a lot of people. But, he was a guy that, if you were around him every day, you would feel like you knew him sometimes, then you wouldn't. But I'm telling you, Skip, Shannon, one thing about it, whenever he did open up, the guy was gold. He was gold. And I think he started to do a lot more of that as he matured and as he got older. And like I said, going back to this decision, this was Shannon, you touched on it. This was his best chance of winning a championship. And he got the starting job over there in Brooklyn. So to call it a career right now, it just tells you how severe this situation was for him and his family. And it's tough, man. I wish him the best of luck. I just hope that he has peace. A lot of guys can walk away from the game. It's a rational decision. It's a rational move to make. But deep inside, they're still wrestling with it. I hope he's at peace with this, knowing that, look, this game is not worth me putting my life on the line. I still have family and kids to raise. I hope he's looking at it from that standpoint.
Yep.
I agree.
So will the question is, how much will the Nets miss him? I know LaMarcus more from his 5 years in San Antonio. And as we all know, he is a lethal mid-range jump shooter. And yeah, Chris, what I always appreciated the most about LaMarcus was he was a very underrated at 6 feet 11 inches tall, and he's a long 6'11". He could rim protect. And I thought that's what he was going to help the Nets with the most, was on the defensive end, where obviously they can be challenged, but he can rim protect. Maybe not as much at 35 as he could at 25, but still very savvy, tough-minded on the defensive end, schooled by Greg Popovich and teams that were known for their defense. So that's where I believe they will miss him the most.
Yeah, you got a point there. I mean, just his length has definitely helped. I mean, DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, those are the other bigs that are left on that roster. LaMarcus went over there to start for a reason. I'm not sure how much Blake can be impactful at that center spot, particularly and especially defending at the center spot.
Agreed.
And DeAndre Jordan, he's not somebody you can lean on heavily for minutes. So this is a big blow to the Brooklyn Nets to have this guy go. Now, the league is not going to feel sorry for him, because it seems like the Brooklyn Nets just been getting every star player that's been available in the buyout market. So with that being said, nobody's going to feel sorry for him. But just from the loss of losing LaMarcus, this changes the dynamic of that front court tremendously, especially when they start going deeper in the playoffs and have to face the likes of a Joel Embiid. And if they go further, you never know, Andre Drummond, Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert. So this is a tremendous blow.
Yeah,
So, go ahead.
Because, Skip, he was a spacer. He could shoot the three, but most big guys, they pick and roll. Rudy Gobert's pick and roll. Andre Drummond pick and roll. Most guys, he can pick and pop. Because you can not only, he don't have to roll to the basket, he got a 15-foot mid-range game. He can space the floor. So now it makes it even harder for you with those guys, because you got three guys that can handle the ball. KD can handle the ball, get it to the rim. We know what James Harden and Kyrie can do. And so now you bring the help. Normally the big come to help. They kick it to LaMarcus. He wide open, gonna knock that shot down. So now you don't worry about that with Andre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan. You don't worry about him. He's picking and rolling, looking for the lob, looking for the layup. You had to worry about LaMarcus, because he might not roll all the way to the basket. He might pull up from 10. He might pull up from 15. Hell, he might be past the 3-point line because he had that kind of ability. It definitely is going to bother them, because they got him for a reason. They wanted LaMarcus Aldridge for a very specific reason, to deal with Joel Embiid. He is a load. That's one less body that you get to throw at him. Now, they got Claxton. Claxton is great, but they ain't got enough bricks in his pocket. You need somebody with a lot of bricks in their pocket to deal with Joel Embiid. 7'2", 310, 315. Now, he grown man, folks.
Well, wait a second. Are you now thinking ahead to they won't be able to deal with the big penguin As
Oh,
in
that don't make
Kareem Abdul-Drummond. Right?
Shaq Drummond, Chris. But wait and see, he got Joe, he on Kiki kind of Clippers. But we gonna keep this on LaMarcus Aldridge right now. But look, yeah, this is a big blow. This is a big body, a guy that can give them on a good night, maybe give them 15 points, maybe double-digit rebounds. But they still got three skilled, very, very skilled guys.
Okay, and speaking of those three, back to you, Chris Haynes. They're going to go as far as those three take them ultimately. And those three have played a grand total of 7 games together, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better to the end of the season. Can they flip the switch as a big three? Will their chemistry just immediately have playoff impact?
Well, with their talent, they're definitely capable of flipping the switch. But if they're going in with that mindset, that might be disrespectful to the field. And when you look at KD, well, first of all, am I allowed to say KD? Shannon, am I okay?
Yeah, you're okay.
You're good.
You okay?
We're all good.
I don't want to get blocked. But listen, I'll say this. KD is going to have to play a little bit out of position going down this stretch, I believe so. I think he's going to play a lot more in the post. And the reason for that, not just because LaMarcus Aldridge being out, but James Harden has proven thus far like he's the leader right now. He's the leader right now. And there's going to be a little adjustment period for all these guys. And to get back to your question, when you got all three of those guys coming back at later points, because Steve Nash said he really doesn't even know if all three are going to play at some point during the season. So now they're going to have to try to figure this thing out in the postseason. Now, that's why I say I think they're talented enough to flip the switch. But if you're the opposition, you're looking at this as a level of disrespect, saying that, hey, they think they can just assemble a team on the spot, come out here and beat us. And so I would be careful. You know, I would be careful if that's the Nets approach. But look, they're the most talented team.